Hey everyone, how are y'all doing? Um, haven't uploaded in the past couple of weeks. It's mainly due to being busy. If you've ever seen any of my other videos, I've talked about trying to make perfumes and doing perfumery. And I recently bought a bunch of materials, so a lot of my time has been spent diluting them and getting them ready for study. But on top of that, this channel is not meant to be like some try to grind it out, make this into a job or anything channel. This is just a place where I come to put some thoughts and ideas. If I feel like something is helpful or I think it could be helpful to someone, I'll make a video on it. If it's just something I want to discuss or just put the thoughts out there, it'll be that or maybe a rant. So this isn't like a channel that I'm trying to become some rich YouTuber or anything. It's more just um, if I think I have something good to talk about, I'll talk about it, not just upload for the sake of uploading. But that's besides the point. Let's get to the actual topic. The topic of this video, as you can probably tell by the title, is people or normies love being scammed and slopified or sold slop. And I'll kind of explain it from um, few different points of view, I guess, or a few different examples. So one of those examples I would say is video games. I have played video games since I was a kid. I don't even know what age. I remember playing on a GameCube. I remember my buddy having a PS2. I had an original Xbox. I've been playing games a long time, for probably most of my life. And yeah, it's obviously from that perspective of someone who's actually genuinely enjoyed video games and has been playing them for so long. Most video games are slop now. Most of them suck. They're not good, especially from AAA titles, but even a lot of indie. A lot of people try to say indie gets a free pass basically, but no, a lot of indie games are also slop. They're not good. They're just asset flips and they don't have a whole lot of design behind them and whatnot. And there's a place for those types of games, like stupid, silly games that use asset flips just because it's not meant to be taken serious. It's a meme game they sell for like $5 or something, right? Um, but yeah, it's a lot of slop, and normies eat that shit up. Crimson Desert, I would say, is one of the most recent examples of that. It's not a good game, and before anyone says it, I have not played the game, and I'm not going to because I'm not going to waste $70 on shit that's slop. I can easily tell by the gameplay and how many mechanics they were trying to sell that this game was going to not work very well. They've shoved every mechanic you can think of from every video game from the past, I don't know, 5 years or whatever. It's just they've been shoving and shoving and shoving all these mechanics in that there's no way all of them are going to be that well fleshed out. They're not going to be good. Um, that they're gonna look cool for about 5 seconds, and then you're gonna realize it's like you just hit two buttons and that thing happens. Also, the menial tasks that I've seen that don't really matter, like saving cats or something out of off of a building, or what it's not an immersive experience. It's just a bunch of half-baked slop from other video games shoved into it, and then people go, bro, it's so in-depth, bro, it gets good after 50 hours, bro. Like, dude, 50 hours, that should be the whole game. Like, I think people have lost the fucking plot. Video games don't have to be 200 plus hours to be good. You can have a 10-hour game that is. I would rather a really well built, good quality 10-hour game than a half baked 200-hour game like fucking uh like Crimson Desert or whatever. Yeah, no, no. And I think it kind of comes to the whole like, oh well, I gave $70 and I get 200 hours back. That means this is a good game. That's not at all how that works. 200 hours of doing fuck all nothing is not good gameplay. But anyways, But I think normies like it because it's been people have been eating it up online. They fucking love it. They suck it off. And it's mostly people like you'll see people in comment sections for the game like defending it. Mind you, have maybe only played a few hours of it. Like we're talking a couple days after the game came out, and people were like, "Bro, this is the best fucking game I ever played in my fucking life, bro. This is an amazing game." And they're like like you have people giving real critiques of the game, like, this I've been playing it. It's I don't like this, and I don't like. And they're like, "No, bro, you just don't fucking get it, bro. You blah 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 blah." And it's like, no, dude, you can criticize something. You can criticize something and still enjoy it, right? Like but it doesn't mean it's exempt from from being criticized. Um, so yeah, and but normies are just their brains or people, whatever. They don't work. Like it's just consume product and be excited for the next product. And they will defend Crimson Desert to the death. And then after 2 weeks, when they're not playing it anymore, they'll completely forget the game even existed. They'll put it down. They'll realize they've been kind of wasting their time for the past 100 something hours doing really nothing, and then they'll never touch it again. And it's what they do with every fucking game. They don't actually enjoy video games. It's just something that allows their brain to do something else. They don't criticize games. They're not willing to. Every game that comes out that they spend money on is just the best game ever made. It's a game of the year contender, no matter what it is. You could have a game that's literally just paint drying and charge them $70 and they go, "Bro, you just don't get the symbolism, bro. This is art." It's like, "No, it's just paint drying." Like, shut the fuck up. So that's one aspect, and I've seen people do this. I actually not too long ago, and I got to stop doing this. I tend to argue sometimes with people online if I'm passionate about something, and I argued with somebody because somebody in the comments was like, "Yeah, I was interested in this game, kinda, but." Talking about Crimson Desert, and he watched a couple reviews and stuff. He's like, and then I just decided, it's not worth my money. And somebody else commented back to him, like, "Oh, bro, if you can't afford to blow $70 or whatever, then you need to go get your money up or whatever." And I commented back to that person, and we argued or whatever it is, whatever. I'm not going to get into it. It was just a dumb conversation as a whole, but the conversation was essentially like, go grind, bro, if you can't afford to blow $70 on a video game that you're not even sure you're going to like. It's like that's just stupid. That's just dumb. And the answer, and I was like, that's dumb. And they were like, "Nah, bro, you just gotta go grind more." And I'm like, I hate that mindset of like, bro, if you're not grinding to blow your money on products, then you just fucking stupid. It's like, yeah, there are normies that still have this like mindset, like this grind, bro. Like, bro, I'm out here working 80 hours, bro. I'm in the fucking. It's like, you don't like doing that. You really genuinely don't like doing that. You're just an emotional little child and you have nothing better to do. Grind bros. I have to make a separate video about grind bros, but I think it all comes from like a weird insecurity, like I'm a man thing. Like, oh, I'm a man, bro. I work all my life away and don't enjoy any of it. And the only enjoyment I get is spending money for dopamine on shit I don't need or even really like that much. But besides that point, we're already 9 minutes into this video, basically. But all right, video games is one of them. Magic the Gathering is another. Now, I'm not gonna say I'm a lifelong Magic fan, right? I had some cards in middle school and played a little bit, but I wasn't super into it. And then I recently got into it, probably within like the last 2 years or so. But the game's been around for what 30 years now, something like that. 30 years, I think. And I'm still going to be of the sentiment that a lot of the old heads have of the space that if you don't know, Magic the Gathering does what's called Universes Beyond. And all it is like basically Fortnite for Magic. They bring in a bunch of other IPs: Final Fantasy, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Avatar: The Last Airbender, What else? I think they did Lord of the Rings, Fallout, Warhammer 40K. Um, those are like sets. Those are like full blown sets. I think they had some secret layers. Like one of them was SpongeBob for some fucking reason. But oh, Spider Man, and then they did Marvel, or they are doing Marvel, something like that. But anyways, that's another slopification that the normies eat up. And I've like met people that are like, bro, I love this Final Fantasy set, and I get it from a perspective of it does a lot of those do have good cards in them. Like I won't hate on that. Like I'm not even saying like people being into the set, they might just go, but this card fits within my commander deck or whatever. So I am going to get it. Like, oh, I can see what you mean because like you might be missing out on pieces if you don't buy anything from the set that you need that could really bump up the consistency or the power of your deck. So I could see where that argument's made, right? And I'll even do that sometimes. Like I think I have one or two cards in some of my decks that are from those sets. But um it's like, no, you have the people who have never played Magic, don't know anything about Magic, don't even really care about the card game. They just come in and buy it because it has the IP fucking stamp to it. And it's like I can see how that's like a fun way to get people into the game, but you're also completely shitting on all your original fans that made this game even exist in the first place. Truly, when you do stuff like this. Magic the Gathering has wizards and dragons and trolls and goblins and humans and angels, and it already has like all of these awesome fantasy elements you can do a lot with. And then they shove SpongeBob into it, or they have a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle set. And some people will be like, bro, and this is the normie response to everything. If you don't like it, bro, don't buy it. And it's like, yeah, I won't buy it, but I can still criticize it. Like, yeah, I won't be buying it and I will be criticizing it. I think Universes Beyond is ruining Magic. I think it's part of what's ruining Magic. It's not the only problem. It's a part of what's ruining Magic, and it's also bringing in more and more normies into what would be a typical nerd space, and they're just muddying the waters. It's like this is where nerd dudes and nerd dudettes, I guess, would maybe play games and hang out and get to be nerds, and then you've got normies that fucking ruin it. They come in with their fucking shitty little whatever and buy $100 fucking Final Fantasy deck and go crazy on it. And they're just fucking slobbering all over that Wizards of the Coast dick. And it's like you guys are fucking stupid. Mind you, I don't buy Magic product anymore. I decided not to do that. I am just going to proxy every deck because I'm not going to be playing in tournaments. I only play casual with friends and like maybe other randoms at like a game store from time to time. So like my level of it, I don't need to be buying these things, and I don't collect Magic. I only play it. I'll collect Pokemon sometimes, but I do not collect Magic. I don't care about collecting Magic. I only want to play the game. So proxying makes the most sense for me. Um, I guess if you want to collect it, that's one thing, right? I'm not going to shit on the hobby of collecting. It is what it is. But yeah, no, it's the normies are fucking just they come in, they buy the set, and then they fuck off afterwards. And you'll even have people that'll like ask you like, "So when's the next Final Fantasy?" or like, "When's the next Avatar: The Last Airbender?" or "When's the next Marvel thing?" And it's like, "Oh, buddy, they probably won't be making more of that. That was probably just a one-time thing. Like Final Fantasy's not going to have any more cards in the game." And then they'll go, "Oh, okay," and then they'll stop playing. They'll stop playing the game or they'll stop buying into it. Like these aren't like lifetime customers you're making. You're not making customers. You are having one-time consumers. There's a difference between a customer and a consumer. A customer cares about the thing that they're buying to the point that they won't buy it as a form of protest, voting with their wallet, and they will criticize the actions of the company that makes that thing. And if they have to, they will do what I do. They will just proxy the product or find a alternative solution if they don't like the direction that that company is going. Companies don't like customers because a customer might be informed. They might have passions. They might have reserves and criticisms. A consumer will just consume, just like the video games. So you will have people who come in, they consume the product, and then they don't come back. That's it. They buy it that one time, and maybe you'll have another IP down the road that you do Universes Beyond with that they'll buy into as well because they're a fan of that. And it's like, okay, cool. They might come buy a couple packs for a commander deck and play it a few times, and then they'll fucking drop off the hobby again. They're not hobbyists. They're just fucking tourist consumers. They're just passerbys buying it and then leaving again. So, and in the meantime, while you're doing that, all you're doing is hurting your actual customer base and your actual fan base. Other than like the whales will just buy whatever you put out because they're addicts. They tie their mental health to your product, which is a bad thing to do. Do not do that. Um, so yeah, it's really just whales and tourists, and then the actual fan base gets shit on. So, so that's another aspect. Um, we'll touch on another one. Another one. We'll get away from games for a minute. Fragrance, cologne, perfume, fragrances, whatever you want to call it. This is something I do have a passion for, and it's a recent passion. This is another one that's probably it's a bit longer than Magic. It's a couple, maybe a year or more, maybe a year to 2 more years than Magic. Um, but again, this is something like I have boundaries in the sand. I want to be a customer, not a consumer, and this is something I've learned with fragrance as well. Fragrance is full of fucking scamming. And when I say that, I mean from big companies. I will refuse from using big company names just so I don't have any shit for it. But you know, there's categories, right? You have designer and what would be called niche, and then I would say there is a distinction called ultra niche, and then you also have indie, and then you have dupes of things as well. Which I'm designer. Think designer. Think like designer handbags and designer big brands like that make make perfumes, that type of stuff. And then you have niche houses. Niche houses, they only focus on making fragrances. They don't have like other things tied to them. That's all they do is make fragrances. And then you have what people call ultra niche. Now, technically, it's still just niche, but it's become a distinction made by um, people who are into fragrances at a it's hard to explain. I'd like to call it a different level, but they're the people who are maybe chasing and going after things that aren't just heavily available in the market. They might find smaller companies. Typically a lot of them are foreign, like from Eastern Europe and stuff like that too. Just these like smaller, more like really niche down, typically very different fragrances. Not like I just smell good and clean and fresh, like very maybe weird or even touching into the artistic. I would say some niche, ultra niche would lean into artisanal. But then you have indie, and I probably sound like a fucking snob talking about this stuff, but this is just how I understand it. You have indie, which is going to be indie houses, which would be what I eventually aspire to be once I learn more about perfumery, is becoming kind of an indie brand. I make smaller batch stuff. Doesn't mean that I make it and never make it again. It's just like I'm not putting out hundreds of gallons of this stuff. I might put out, a couple gallons at a time just because that's what I can afford type of, aspect. And then you'll have, I'll say artisanal. Artisanal would be best described, in my opinion, as very limited release stuff from a smaller brand. So this is usually because of like high amounts of natural raw materials. You have synthetics and naturals. Natural raw materials would be like sandalwood has been turned into they've used it to make like an essential oil, and these aren't essential oils you buy at Walmart. These are like very very specific, high quality, made for creating fragrances and stuff. So they're typically marketed by that, like marked, not marketed, marked by the fact that they use a lot of natural raw materials. Things like agarwood, or would be known as oud. It's very expensive. It can be hard to get your hands on sometimes, very limited. Things like animal musks, like civet musk or castoreum musk or deer musk. Again, things that are expensive, maybe hard to get your hands on. And so you can only make so many of them. So you might only be able to make like 30, 20 mil bottles of it, and that's all that material you can get your hands on of that specific type, because there's also different types of these materials. There's not just one oud. There's a bunch of different ouds from different places, and some of it might be harder to get. So that would be artisanal. And then you have dupes, or what would be called like inspired buys or clones or copies, where you'll have these smaller house, not smaller houses. You'll have these other brands, typically from the Middle East, that make copies or inspired buys of big name stuff. So they might make copies of like your designer brands or even your niche houses. Some of your niche houses would be like PDM, Parfums de Marly, Creed. What's another niche house that's big? Those are like the two main big ones. I know there's other ones. Amouage. There's a few, but they'll make copies of those and then sell them for much cheaper, like which is telling. But now that you've had the history there, or the fucking lesson, let's get into why. I know I went off on a tangent there, but I wanted to make sure you guys had the full context. Um, so this is very telling that normies, especially in fragrance, just buy up the slop. So, for instance, there is a designer brand. The name, it kind of sounds like Shmovy Vatauknan or Shmovy Matan, right? That's a way, right? I kind of fucked it up the first time. Shmovy Shmatan is what it kind of sounds like. And they sell fragrances that cost $350 for a 100 ml bottle. Now, is there a place for that cost to make sense? Not for Shmovy Vatan. Not for them. Not from Shmovy Shmatan. They no, they can't justify that price. An artisanal brand probably could, or an indie brand can definitely justify those costs, because I know for a fact they're using real raw materials that cost money, like lots of money. A 15 milliliter bottle of oud costs about 200 and something dollars or more, depending on what you're getting. So, yes, that can be very costly. But from Shmovy Shmatan, I don't believe so. I don't know for a fact what ingredients they use, because these formulas are kept secret. But I do know what ingredients cost me, especially from the synthetic side. And a lot of them are not that expensive. They're very much not that expensive. And they probably get a better deal on big bulk buying, or they have good, prices and stuff, better than I would get. So, but I have seen inklings online that a bottle of theirs of 100 ml probably cost about $8 for the juice, like the actual fragrance, and maybe like $20 for making the actual bottle. So you're looking at about $30 to make a Shmovy Shmatan fragrance. I don't know that to be fact. It's just what I've heard in the whispers of the fragrance world, right? But you have people who will openly spend $350 on it. And why is that? So they will justify it and say, but it smells good. It's one of my favorites. Okay. It does smell good. I have smelled these Shmovy Shmatans before. They do smell good, but they're very basic, very simple fragrances. These aren't fucking gonna knock your fucking socks off fragrances. To a normie, though, they are. These are like top tier. And what this comes to me as is normies in fragrance attach price tag to quality, not anything else. So in fragrance, the more expensive something is, the higher of quality it is. No matter how much it costs to use the raw materials that they made it with, none of that. It's just price tag attached means it's worth that. That makes no fucking sense. And you'll see this in like video games and other things too, but it's very heavy in this niche. People, if it costs $400, that means it is worth $400. And I know it's not worth $400 because you have discounters. So you'll have the retail price, let's say for a bottle of something, $400. But then you go on a discount website, a legitimate website that they have distributors, and you will find it for say 200, 250, right? That tells me that the retail price is bullshit. Why? Because these companies wouldn't be willing to sell it to these discounters or to a distributor that sells it to a discounter and have them sell it for so much less if they still weren't making money on it. So let's say it does cost schmovie schmatan, which they don't do discounters. That's funny. They're a bad example. They only sell from their stores. They only sell at retail. But let's say they didn't. If they are making it for about $30 a bottle and they sell it to a discounter for, I don't know, 150, and that discounter charges 200, 220, something like that, that tells me that they still made a big stupid profit of $120 on that bottle. But just the willingness alone to have discounters exist and sell their products tells me that is not made for the price point they are selling it for. No shit. They sell it in the store, the retail store, for 400. Discounter sells it for 220. The math ain't mathin'. That means it's not worth that. From a material standpoint, it does not cost that. And you'll have people come in, but you got to think they have to pay for marketing, and they have to pay for the perfumer to come in and make it, and they have to pay for the branding and da 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 da. And it's like, no, they don't. I mean, the perfumer they do. That's like the one thing. But the perfumer might charge them 20, 30, 40, $50,000. I'm sure there are some perfumers that charge them 100,000, but in that world, that's not that much money. And it's only like a one-time cost to make that perfume for them. So once they make enough sales, they get that back, and then everything after that is profit margins over the cost for materials. So it's not like they're paying this perfumer like a monthly salary most of the time. Some places have in-house perfumers for sure, but a lot of places don't. They just hire one. Let's say it costs them $50,000. Well, if you sell it and you sell another, I mean, it's a high ticket item. You're gonna make that money back pretty fucking quick, typically. And how do they guarantee they make that money back and then just start churning out tons of profit? They charge you a high price. Say this is a designer brand or this is a niche brand, bro. Like no one's making this shit, bro. And then they sell you something that costs $8 for $400, and then you fucking idiots buy it for that price. And look, I'm not saying there isn't a case to be made that if you enjoy a fragrance so much that you shouldn't buy it. That's not what I'm saying. I have niche fragrances that I enjoy from brands that I don't actually enjoy the brand so much, but they do make something that I genuinely very much enjoy. And I will be purchasing it. But at least do your due diligence on it. Don't buy it retail. That's stupid. At least buy it from a discounter if it is available from a discounter. If you can't buy it from them, a lot of the times you can buy them secondhand, where you might have 80% of the bottles still filled and you pay half the price or less than that. There's a lot of cases to be made for that. And always sample first. Don't blind buy something for $400. You can find samples and decanters where they decant it online, and you can buy smaller bottles of it and make sure you genuinely enjoy it before you buy it. But there is a case to be made that if you genuinely really enjoy something, that you can buy it. I'm not saying don't, but do your due diligence. You have these people that will just buy it because someone online told them it was good, or that they're just buying it because it has a high price tag and they want to be like, bro, I got this fucking schmovie schmatan, bro. I got this schmovie schmatan and it's fucking $400, bro. I'm fucking dope. No, you're just stupid. And it's not worth that. And to me, schmovie schmatans are definitely not worth that. I have a couple of dupes of some copies of schmovie schmatans because I do think they smell good. They do make for good, like warmer weather, summertime wear. And I've smelled my samples of the real thing next to these copies, and this is how I know schmovie schmatans are not complex or very artistically created things, because they smell pretty fucking close. Are they exact? No, because a lot of these big companies use what would be like, I don't know, exclusive things where they'll make it and then they'll patent it and you can't get it. It's their own thing that you have no way of being able to get. So there have to be some changes. But if it's 90% close and it costs me $30 and I still have people going, bro, what are you wearing? You smell really good. Cool, we're good. Fuck it. I'm not paying $400 for that bullshit. Here's 30. So, but the normies love it. They love spending retail price. They love buying these high ticket items because it's a cope. It's an insecurity cover. It's to be like, bro, I'm better than you. That's all it really comes down to. It's like an ego thing. It's like, I'm better than you. Or they just enjoy slop. They enjoy being lied to. They enjoy being scammed. They enjoy being ripped off by big corporate companies because that's really all it is at the end of the day is these are all big. Most of these fucking, especially designer companies are just owned by a few couple like conglomerates that own them. There's only one brand so far that I know of that's a designer brand that is still privately family owned, and that is one that sounds like Colche and Cabanas. It sounds like that. It's similar. Colche and Cabanas. It sounds like that. That is one of the few designer brands that I know that is still privately family owned, and it's like on its third or fourth generation now. Um, but most of them are owned by like a couple conglomerates. They own most of those brands, just like your fucking grocery stores and all that shit. Same thing, right? But they love it. Normies love corporate slop, bro. They absolutely love it. Video games, Magic the Gathering, fragrances, it doesn't matter. You will see it in every hobby. Every hobby has been invaded by normie slop little piglets. They love it. They love being scammed. They love being ripped off. It's because they don't have the facilities or the psychological development to fucking think for 2 seconds. They just consume, consume, consume. They have been turned into mindless little pigs that eat the slop so that they can be slaughtered by the farmer later. They get big, fat, and joyous off their dopamine hits, which we all do. I'm not saying we don't all do that. We all do that. We're all victims to that. But at the same time, these fucking normies love it. There is no regret. There is no shame. There is no guilt. There is no trying to learn to be better. It is just consume your little pig slop, little piglet. You love it. Buy this $400 fragrance we made for $8 because then you can show it off to all your normie friends who can't even really think about it. They just go, oh, 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 you bought, oh, wow, you're so cool. Ego, ego, ego. Here's your ego. Feed the ego. It's the same thing with the fucking idiots that buy 2K and Madden and Call of Duty every fucking year. You guys are stupid. Stop doing that. They can't stop, bro. They're addicted. The normie is addicted to slop, and the corporate people know that. The big money fuckers know that. They know they're addicted to the slop, and they know they're going to keep eating it. So, what do we do about it? Nothing, because the normie won't listen either. I've tried to explain it to the normie, and the normie's like, "Yeah, but fuck it, bro. I like it." And it's like, okay, well, all right. No standards needed. There are no standards. There are no criticisms they can give. But I like it. No, you're just justifying the price. You don't actually like it. If you buy some bullshit slop that your brain knows it has to justify that purchase. So you're going to spend hundreds of hours, playing the game, or you're going to make sure that you defend that fragrance and the artistic vision of the master perfumer that made this boring fucking soap smell that could be replicated very easily by anybody, really. It's not that hard to make. But it's just unmatched artistic vision from the master perfumer. No, the master perfumer got paid $50,000 to sell you slop, and they're okay with that. But anyways, yeah, I don't know. That's the normie. You can't help them. All you can do is, if you're not a normie, vote with your wallet. Don't buy bullshit. If you're gonna buy things that you do enjoy, try to find ways to buy it at affordable prices. Sometimes there's nothing you can do and you just have to, whatever. I'm not saying don't have hobbies. I'm not saying don't enjoy the things you enjoy. I'm saying be mindful of it and make sure no one's scamming you in the process. And if you are still going to get scammed, at least make it hurt the least amount it can. Buy it secondhand, buy it used, you know, buy a discount version of it, or if you want, or if you really have to have the original, buy it from a discounter. But just be mindful of your spending habits. Don't just consume. Be a customer, don't be a consumer. That's all I have to say. Have a great day. The normies are fucking ruining everything. Peace.